Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into one of the most transformative trends reshaping how enterprises handle customer service. We're talking about AI voice agents and multimodal chatbots, and honestly, the momentum here is striking. Sam, we're seeing organizations completely reimagine their customer service operations by 2026. What's driving this shift?
Great question, Alex. The numbers tell the story. 71% of enterprise leaders are planning significant investment in autonomous AI agents by 2026, and adoption in customer service specifically jumped 43% year over year. But it's not just about technology hype. We're looking at real, measurable outcomes: 34% improvement in first contact resolution, 28% cost reduction, and 15 to 22% gains in customer lifetime value. That's the kind of impact that gets C-suite attention.
Those numbers are genuinely impressive. But I want to dig deeper. When you say voice agents and multimodal AI, what does that actually look like in practice? Is this still the chatbot experience people are used to, or is something fundamentally different happening?
It's fundamentally different. Traditional text-based chatbots are becoming outdated. We're seeing 285% year-over-year growth in searches for multimodal AI voice agents because enterprises realize customers don't want to type anymore. They want to speak, show images, maybe even have video conversations. A single AI system now handles voice interaction with natural-sounding speech synthesis, visual processing for things like product identification or document analysis, and seamless context switching between modalities. It's closer to talking with a knowledgeable human than clicking buttons in a chat window.
So you're essentially collapsing what used to be separate channels, phone, chat, email, even visual support, into one unified experience. That's a pretty significant operational shift for enterprises. How do organizations actually pull that off without creating chaos?
That's where AI-led architecture becomes critical. It's not just throwing technology at the problem. Leading organizations structure their AI investments around 4 key principles. First, maintaining transparency so decisions can be audited and explained, especially important given regulatory pressure from things like the EU AI Act. Second, implementing graceful handoffs to human agents that don't lose conversation context. Third, integrating knowledge management systems that continuously improve. And fourth, real-time monitoring of bias, fairness, and compliance metrics.
I like that you mentioned the EU AI Act because I imagine that's a major constraint for European enterprises. How much of a friction point is that? Or has it become more of a compliance requirement that's actually manageable now?
It's evolved. Initially, people saw it as a barrier, but organizations deploying EU AI Act compliant conversational AI are finding it actually strengthens their systems. Why? Because compliance requirements force you to build transparency, audit trails, and human oversight into the architecture from day one, rather than bolting them on later. So, compliant systems aren't just legal, they're often more trustworthy and perform better because they maintain clearer human-AI collaboration boundaries.
That's a reframe I didn't expect, but it makes sense. So if I'm a financial services company or a healthcare provider, and I'm considering deploying one of these systems, what's the real business case? Where do I see the payoff?
Let me break it down into 3 levers. First, velocity. AI agents reduce average handling time by 40 to 50% through intelligent triage and knowledge augmentation, so your team handles more volume without growing headcount. Second, quality. That 34% improvement in first contact resolution means fewer escalations, fewer repeat contacts, and happier customers. Third, revenue. When you combine better customer satisfaction with proactive engagement powered by AI prediction, you're seeing 15 to 22% increases in customer lifetime value. That's not cost-cutting, that's growth.
Those are compelling numbers, but I imagine implementation is where the rubber meets the road. Organizations don't just flip a switch and suddenly have AI voice agents working alongside their teams. What does a realistic deployment timeline look like?
The organizations seeing the fastest wins are those treating AI agents as digital coworkers, not replacements. You pilot with a specific use case, maybe Tier 1 support or a high-volume product inquiry flow, while maintaining strong human oversight. You monitor performance, gather feedback, and then expand. The timeline depends on complexity and organizational readiness, but enterprises that nail the architecture from the start, the ones with clear knowledge management, documented processes, and compliance frameworks, they scale much faster than those retrofitting older systems.
Let me ask you something that I think concerns a lot of people listening. What about the customer experience side? Do people actually prefer talking to an AI voice agent versus a human?
The data suggests it's context-dependent. For straightforward transactional requests, checking a balance, tracking a shipment, resetting a password, customers appreciate speed and availability. AI agents excel there. But here's where human-AI collaboration matters. When a customer needs empathy, judgment, or complex problem-solving, they want a human. The best systems recognize this and hand off seamlessly. When a customer experiences a smooth transition from AI to agent without repeating their issue, satisfaction actually increases. The goal isn't replacing humans, it's amplifying their impact by handling routine work intelligently.
That's a healthier framing than the narrative sometimes implies. One more thing. We've talked a lot about the technology and the business metrics. But what about the actual voice quality? I assume that's improved dramatically?
Absolutely. Text-to-speech quality has reached a point where most people can't immediately distinguish it from human speech, especially in professional contexts. Combined with natural language understanding that contextually appropriate, understanding tone, intent, and nuance, the experience feels genuinely conversational. That's one reason adoption is accelerating so fast. 2 or 3 years ago, talking to an AI felt stiff and robotic. Now, it feels natural enough that people forget they're talking to a machine.
That's a turning point. When the technology becomes invisible, that's when real transformation happens. Sam, as enterprises head into 2026, what's the one thing they should be thinking about right now if they're considering deploying these systems?
Get your architecture right before you scale. Too many organizations rush to deployment, treating AI as a tactical cost-cutting tool rather than a strategic capability. If you invest in AI lead architecture principles, transparency, compliance, human oversight, continuous learning, you're building systems that improve over time and align with regulatory requirements. That upfront investment pays dividends because you're not ripping and rebuilding in 2 years.
Smart advice. If you want to dive deeper into how voice agents and multimodal AI are reshaping customer service and get the full breakdown of implementation strategies and compliance frameworks, head over to etherlink.ai. You'll find the complete article with research citations, case studies, and tactical guidance. Thanks for joining us, Sam, and thanks to everyone listening to EtherLink AI Insights. We'll be back next week with more on AI transformation. See you then.
Thanks, Alex. Great discussion. Listeners, if you're in customer service leadership, this is definitely worth exploring. Talk soon.